Alan Moran here from the Institute of Public Affairs, which is a think tank that's funded by the mining industry, cigarettes, Rupert Murdoch, pretty much anyone who's interested in giving the planet lung cancer. And what a surprise, the Liberal Party gets most of its ideas from us. Asking for Tasmanian World Heritage Forests to be delisted, deregulation of university fees. Deregulation of university fees? Absolutely, it'll make things so much cheaper. Damn, even I think you guys are stupid. Shut up, you meddling Ankylosaurus. Shoo! Excuse me? You wanna fuck with this? Yeah, you better run, Alan. Turning my family into fuel. Who's the real monster? Let's talk about an idea which my totally impartial self believes is rather grand. Getting rid of all green energy funding. What a surprise. Alright, I know that my living is to do infomercials where a friend and myself are supposedly having a casual conversation about, Doug, let's talk kitchenware. I don't want to have this conversation. And I invented the product. So you're one of those pussies that likes to talk about friends and family, are you? Well, kitchenware is my family, Dougie. My mum's a frying pan. This was my birth canal. And my sister's not kitchenware, she's a chicken. No! Stop screaming, Doug. You're making a clucky. Close down all the KFCs, or I'm not laying any more eggs. Can I just give you a quick piece of advice, Alan? Your agenda's too transparent. I came to this conclusion myself, Karen. It's 100% I. The bravest corporate hack parasite in the world, publishing an article in a paper owned by Rupert Murdoch, who again is a primary investor in our think tank, so really sticking out my gross turkey neck on this one. I start off by writing that the previous government's planned spending on reducing greenhouse gas emissions was ramping up $23 billion a year, similar to the entire defense budget.
Yes, I thought that would scare you, conservative old tits that read The Australian.
What a terrible defense measure to actually do something about climate change, which would drastically reduce the necessity to compete for resources in wars. Why, if we had cars that ran on renewable energy in 2003, we'd still have to defend ourselves from Australia's biggest geopolitical threat, Iraq. I'm gonna get you, Howard. I need peace of mind. You know what is good defense spending? Purchasing a bunch of jets that even the Wright brothers would look at and think,
well, that's a very good first attempt, Tony.
Would you like to give it a spin, fellas?
No, that's fine. I think I'll just stick to ours. It's sadly better.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say you can't anyway, but suck the fun out of that. Then I go on to state that investments in renewables is failed economics. You can do that, can't you? Just make very definite sounding statements and provide absolutely no evidence at all to support them. Especially when it flies directly in the face of leading global economists like Michael Molitor, who is an advisor to BP on climate change, invited to every UN summit on the subject since 1991, and Jeffrey Sachs, who's a special advisor to the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon as well as Kofi Annan. No, I think the fact that I merely said otherwise holds more clout. Just look at my credentials on the IPA website. It eclipses those gentlemen's resumes. I was employed by the Tasman Institute, which is a right-wing think tank and was open for 1 year and then lost its funding, so it must have been doing an outstanding job with research. And guess who the research director was? And yet, sadly, that's one of the only jobs worth boasting about in my bio. Even my son has a better resume and he's only worked at Coles.
Worked in the deli.
Because I didn't have the strength to stack shelves. So much virility. Yep, I was also the former Deputy Secretary of Energy in Victoria. So that's pretty manly, eh? Deputy Secretary. That means that when the boss called in sick, I was in charge for the day. Everyone, you know how the boss normally likes things done?
Yes.
Good. Well, I don't really have the jurisdiction to change anything. Plus, I lack the confidence. Why don't you just pretend he's here? This is a job Alan Moran thinks is worth bragging about. So while all these other so-called economists I disagree with were busy being key advisors to the world's most important intergovernmental organization, I was a nothing public servant in not even federal government, state. The second biggest state. running it on the inside. Meaning that for a huge chunk of my life I had no problems at all accepting government paychecks, but now I'm the current director of the IPA's deregulation unit. And do I see the hypocrisy in holding a position where my job is to go, I think we should privatize Hearing Australia? I said... I gave him fair warning. No, I don't see the irony in that, because I'm that much of a bottom feeder.
Actually, a rather harsh misnomer on reflection.
Rather, I am the greatest artiste of all time. My life is pure absurdity. Is it a surprise at all to discover that such a man as I is a key shaper in coalition policy? A party that simply makes up facts to justify their positions? They learnt from the best. I just write what I feel, kind of like a beatnik poem when I stated the ongoing subsidization of wind energy severely weakens the economy. I just write that in papers a few hundred times and then people on the street start to think, nah, it's too expensive, isn't it? Wind power. Such a finite resource. Wind, more precious than diamonds. Maybe in a figurative hippie sense, but not actually. Wind and other renewables should be left to stand on their own feet commercially. Unlike coal, which I don't seem to have a problem with it being subsidized. Not only when the power stations were initially built, but every single year since. Alright, I was okay with the comparison before, but now it's getting offensive. No, my own father's disowned me. Why don't you like my research, Papa? Is it because I don't include any evidence? While Rome Consulting has conducted the most extensive modelling thus far and has concluded that without renewable energy investments, the average household will pay $50 more for energy in 2020, which equates to an additional $1.4 billion beyond, not including the $20 billion in investments we'll lose, nor the 18,400 permanent skilled jobs, or the fact that because South Australia invested in green energy early, it's now in a position to sell its surplus to the national grid. No, yes. My claims that renewables are worthless assets and are 3 times the cost of electricity sourced from coal aren't just blowing smoke when the entire world knows that Australian wind energy is cheaper than not only coal but gas. But in my fantasy world, how could it be more expensive to do all of this? Doesn't really matter about facts though, does it? Because I'm from the IPA, the think tank responsible for dismembering Australia's renewable energy targets purely because we're greedy, evil, weedy little yes men like Greg Hunt, whose biggest foe in all our lives are mosquitoes. We don't have the muscle density to swat them. Good to know. Too weak to swat anymore. It's almost as if Mother Nature doesn't want me here. Yep, I love all of my children, except for you.
Please press the subscribe button now.
Come on.